So secondary data may be collected from the published source or unpublished source. As government agencies are concerned, what is our duty? Whatever the information they have collected, from that information we collect the data. What is the information we are going to take from the customer? What are their ideas? How they will purchase? Whether the cost of the products are too much, so those people who are not available, it's very difficult to go and meet them. Hello, I'm Dr. B.S. Subramania, called by name Dr. B.S.S., Professor in Commerce and Management, Vidhyaashram First Year College, a Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. Today, in this session, I'm going to hand Business Statistics Third Semester Unit 1 Session 2 in favor of Statistical Data and Descriptive Statistics is concerned. Methods and sources of data collection. So we are talking about the data. There are two types of data. One is called primary data, another is called secondary data. Before going to what's called primary data and secondary data, I'm going to explain what do you mean by data. Every day we come across varieties of information in the form of facts, figures, and etc. Information relating to profit or loss of a company, election result, etc. So every day we are going to arrive the profit of the company. It may be a election result. So we are going to get some information about the company's profit or election results are considered. All these information provided by whatever the information you want, that is provided by either by TV or by the magazine or by the journals or by the internet. So we want to collect the information either from the TV or from the magazine or from the journal or internet is concerned. Data is the facts or figures from which conclusion can be drawn. So whatever the data we collected before the conclusion, we take into consideration. Data are collected by individual research work or organization keeping in view the objectives of the study. So when your data is collected, first we'll apply what is the main objective of collecting the data. According to that objective, data will be collected. Data collected may be from primary data or secondary. So whatever the data collected, it may be primary data or secondary data. Now I'm going to explain what do you mean by primary data, what do you mean by secondary data. Come here. So what is primary data? Primary data is the first-hand data or fresh data collected for specific objective. It is collected by a researcher from the field by applying various methods. So first-hand data is called primary data. So indirect data is called secondary data. Then methods of collection primary data. How the data will be collected? First is direct personal interview. First is will directly take the personal interview of the person. Second one, indirect personal interview. So first is directly connected, second is indirectly connected. Third, information through correspondent, writing the letter and get the answer from the particular customers are considered. Questionnaire method, some question will be framed and those question will be asked to the every customer and get the answer from me. Then methods of schedules. So we'll move on one by one. First, secondary data. First is over. Secondary data. Secondary data are the data which researchers do not collect for the first time from the field. It is not directly connected. These are the data which are collected by somebody else for some other purpose. Somebody has collected. From them, you are going to collect these data. The researcher collects that data for his research work. Somebody has collected the what's called data for research work. From that data, we collect the information. So it is not directly connected, it is indirectly connected. So the following are the source of collection of secondary data. Published source, it may be published source, it may be unpublished source. So secondary data may be collected from the publisher source or unpublished source. Secondary data, published source. What do you mean by published source? The various sources of published data are reports and official publication of international bodies such as the International Monetary Fund, International Finance Corporation, and United Nations Organization. This is one information you can feed. Second one, central and state government such as the report of the Patel committees. So we collect the committee's report. They're not directly connected through the what's called journal. We are going to collect either from the publisher and the international bodies such as the International Monetary Fund, International Finance Corporation organization. Then, unpublished source, records maintained by private agency for their research, whatever the research work they are going, in their research work, we collect the data. Government offices and municipality offices and other government agency. We collect the information either from the government office or municipality offices and other government agencies. Whatever they collected from that information, we collect the data, not directly connected. It's already collected by the government offices or municipality as government agencies are concerned. What is our duty? Whatever the information they have collected, from that information, we collect the data, whatever the objectives you are. It is not directly connected, it is indirectly connected. Then research report maintained by the research scholar. So some research scholar find out the some of the objectives of that. Whatever the objectives which you have got, that objective can be collected from the research holder. So here the point is, unpublished course, a card maintained by the private agencies you collected, then it may be government official, is a municipality or the government undertaking. Research report is made by the researcher, so we can collect that. That is unpublished source. Combined. Here under methods of collection of primary data. In the primary data, important methods of collecting primary data are direct personal observation method, direct personal interview method, scheduled to be filed by the informants, then information from correspondent, questionnaire in charge of enumerators. We'll move on one by one. First is direct personal observation. According to this method, the investigator obtained the data by personal observation. The method is adopted when the field of inquiry is small. Most of the surveys, such as economic and social, depend on this method. If it is only a small one, then we depend upon the survey, such as economic and social method. This method is considered. Then, in order to study effectiveness of the drug on patient, the researcher collect the information by observing the effect of the drug on the patient before and after the administration of the medicine over a period of time. So, for example, if the some drugs have been here, see that in order to study the effective of the drug on the patient, the researcher collect the information by observing the effect of the drug on the patient. So when the drugs are given to patient, we'll observe it, how the drugs will work out on the patient. According to that only, we'll finalize that. We'll give some period. It may be 2 months, it may be 3 months, it may be 6 months, it may be 1 year. See that how the drug will be affected on that particular patient. In order to study the marketability of the new product, the researcher observe the consumption of pattern of consumer. So when you go to the marketability, first we'll observe when the what's called particular product is marketed, we see that what is the reaction of the customer, how they will react to the our drugs are considered, are they are interested, is it effective, it is not effective, what is the information we are going to feed from the customer, what are their ideas, how they will purchase, whether the cost of the drugs are too much. So everything will be go on with the marketability. Then direct personal observation, then directly connected. Degree of accuracy is quite high. It does not require extra caution directly connected to the customer. It deposits data in a great deal. It gives a detailed data. This method is suitable for investigation where secondary data is not available. When the secondary data is not available, better to go this data, primary data. Then demerits. Collection of data require a lot of time. It takes more consumption of time. It requires a lot of finance. More funds are required. In some inquiry, it is not possible to collect the primary data. Sometimes you are not in a position to collect the primary data. Sometimes we will go to the personal interview. That particular person is not available. Studies. We have to face something down. It requires a lot of labor. Labor work is there. Then, methods of collection of primary data, directly personal interview method. This is most important method, collected primary data. Under this method, the investigator or researcher interacts with the respondent to get the necessary information required for research. So, we have directly contact with the research user. This method is generally used in study of socio-economic related problem. The interaction may be face to face or it may be through teleconversion. Usually, market survey opinion polls are executed by this method. So, there is directly connected. So, we'll take the opinion of the customer through phone, telegram, something, whatever the idea, internet, conversation between the customer and the particular owner, whether the particular idea is available or not. Then structure interview are being used usually under this method. This interview was predetermined in their structure. We'll prepare the structure according to the structure, so it will be taken into consideration. Then, direct personal interview method merits data is reliable, accurate, and exhaustive. The investigator has the full freedom to restructure the interview whenever required. Then, the non response is very less. It does not require the respondents to be educated. Hope I think this is all the data we are going to collect them back. Direct personal interview demerits. This method is expensive, especially when the respondent are spread over a vast geographical area. If the area is small, so we have to spend more money. It requires more time and labor. So it requires more time and labor is required because we have to search the particular customer. It may be difficult to control and interview highly placed people. So those people who are not available, it's very difficult to go and meet them. Then third one, schedule to be filled by enumerator. The data is collected under this method is by trained enumerators. This enumerator consult the respondent and with assistance of a schedule collected the necessary information. Schedule is the list of items on which investigator have to be collected and recorded information. The data collected under this method is reliable and accurate provided enumerators are well trained. If the enumerators are well trained, they will collect the data in such a way that the data is accurate. Then, information from correspondent. In this method, the agents are appointed by the investigator at different places. Different people will be appointed in the different places for correspondent. These correspondent collect the required data in their area and hand them over to the investigator. They will collect the information and feed the information to the investigator. This method is helpful when data is to be collected regularly for a long period of time. This definitely will be for a long period of time. This will be helpful. The government collect the statistics of the birth and death through the village panchayat office by this method. So the village panchayat office, they will collect the data, birth date, and the death rate will be collected. It is definitely a good figure. A village panchayat, he say, once in a year, they will collect the birth date and the death rate. The validity of the data collected by this method depends mainly on the integrity of the correspondent. However, in this method, there is a scope for bias. So generally, this is a good thing. Sometimes it go with a bias. Number 5, questionnaire in charge enumerator. So questionnaire is a vast list of questions which needs to be answered by the respondents, and these answers are very much essential for the investigator. So they will prepare the list of questions: where you purchase the drug, at what rate you will purchase them, or the drugs are useful for you. So any product we give, they will have made a question like this, very easy question. They will say yes or no. The questionnaire may be sent to the respondent by the mail or by post. The respondent are instructed to answer the questionnaire and return to the investigator. The, the questionnaire may be sent to the respondents, this is respondents, by mail or post. So they have to answer these questions. The questionnaire is very useful when the investigation involves a very large area. For a very large area, definitely, because we can't go and meet every person, but to send the two posts, they have to answer. If they have got a doubt, they can inquire. It consumes less time as well as labor. So we can save the time also, we can save the labor expensive also. The data obtained under this method may not be accurate because the non-responses to the questionnaire would be very high. Sometimes it is not up to the mark if the questionnaire is not properly answered. Sometimes respondents may not require questionnaire as well. Now, the last one. So, what is the differences between primary data and the secondary data? This will ask for 5 marks question. So, this is primary data, this is secondary data. So, primary data needs more funds, whereas secondary data needs comparatively less. When compared to the primary data, secondary data require less fund. Second one, investigating agency collects the data. Here, investigating agency collect the data. Here, some other investigating agency collected for its own use. They have collected. From them, we are going to collect in the secondary data. Whereas in the primary data, we directly collect the data from the investigating agency. Number 3, require larger time for collection. It requires larger time for collection, require less time for collection. More reliable, it is less reliable. So primary data is more reliable, whereas secondary data is less reliable. Require elaborate organization. Here it does not require the more organization, no need of any organization setup. Last one, no extra precautions are required. Here in secondary data, more precautions are required, more attentions are required. What's the difference, sir? It requires more funds, it requires less fund. Investing agent collect the data directly. Here somebody collected, from them we collect the data. It requires larger time for collection, it requires less time for collection. It is more reliable, it is less reliable, it requires elaborate organization, no need of any organization is required. Last one, no extra precautions are required. Here in secondary data, extra precautions are required. This is a definite question, common question they will ask from the public examination. So better to go this one, difference like this, primary data and secondary data. So I've explained what is primary data, what is secondary data, what are the objectives of primary data, what are the objectives of secondary data, difference between primary data and the secondary data. So 10 marks question will be asking from the examination point of view. They may ask you that explain the primary data and the secondary data and bring out the difference between primary data and the secondary data. I have explained detailedly and I bring out the difference between primary data and the secondary data. Hope you understand. We'll meet in the next session with another detail of this tabulation So in the next year, we are going to solve the problem in the tabulation, the next session. Till then, goodbye. Meet in the next session.